Hello guys, my name is Carly Brockmeyer. Today I'm going to be bringing you a video on stretching. This video will not encompass me showing you actual stretches, but it will talk about how to properly stretch, how long to stretch. I'm also going to discuss why it's so important, how it helps with strength programs, as well as what can result from lack of mobility and flexibility, including muscular imbalances and postural imbalances. I'll also be sharing my own experience as well as the different types of stretches that there are and when is most appropriate to use them. So how do you properly stretch? The most important thing is that your muscles need to be properly warmed up in order to stretch. You do not want to do cold stretching. How I would recommend you structure your workout is that you have a quick warm-up before you do your exercise, whether that be weight training, a run, or cardio training. So you're going to do a quick warm-up. You're going to do a little bit of mobility training, which I will kind of explain why later. So you're going to do a little bit of mobility training, which is going to be more active stretching. And then you want to do your exercise, and then you want to stretch. Unless you are so tight, you have muscles that are so tight that it would inhibit you from doing your exercise, you really want to wait to stretch afterwards. After you are properly warmed up, you've done your leg day or upper body day, when you actually do your stretches, you need to hold them for at least 1 minute, at least. If you do any less, the statistics show that it does not properly remodel the collagen. It needs to be held for at least 1 minute in order to do that. And obviously, if you want to have progress quicker, you will hold it for longer. So those are the two most important things. You need to have warmed up muscles in order to stretch, and you need to be holding each stretch for at least a minute. Talk a little bit about why stretching is so important. The first is mobility for properly targeting muscles. If you do not do this, then this can result in muscular imbalances, which causes certain muscles to be overworked and certain muscles to be overstretched. This can result in pain when you do activities, and this can also result in postural imbalances. So I'm going to now discuss each one of those things a little bit more in depth. So for mobility, why mobility is so important, and especially in weight training, is because if you have limited range of mobility like I do in my shoulders, see, this is as far back as I can go. I know that's very shocking. I have really tight lats, so in my back, and this prevents me from having shoulder mobility, which prevents me from doing a whole lot of fun things like handstands, as well as doing overhead press. So I'm not able to properly target my shoulders in a lot of ways because I lack that range of mobility. So lack of mobility can result in muscular imbalances. So this is when certain muscles are overactive and certain muscles are stretched. This is really important because of muscular groups that are divided into agonist and antagonistic muscles. This means when one is working, the other one needs to be completely relaxed in order for it to properly work. This is true with different muscular groups like your quads and your hamstrings. So your quads are right here, and your hamstrings are right under here. In order for your hamstrings to work properly, your quads need to relax. This can be a big problem if you have a postural imbalance or muscular imbalance like I do, because my quads are overactive, so they're constantly tight. And this means it's really hard for my hamstrings to work, which results in my hamstrings being underdeveloped and resulted in me not really having a very nice butt, even though I was doing a lot of leg days. Another example of an agonist and antagonistic group would be your biceps and your triceps. My triceps are also over tight, and that's why it's really important for me to stretch them and do mobility training on my triceps, my lats, and also my quads before I do any sort of exercise. So to discuss the muscular imbalances a little bit more in depth, these can result in postural imbalances. There are two main types of postural imbalances I'll talk about right now, and that's anterior and posterior pelvic tilt. So to explain, anterior pelvic tilt is when your pelvis is tilted forward. This is shown by, I like to call it the duck butt, the Instagram duck butt, where you have a very curved lower spine. So your lumbar spine is going to be very flexible. It might result in your thoracic spine not having a lot of movement. It creates more of a tummy, and your pelvis gets shifted forward. So if it's a bucket, it moves forward as though the water is spilling over. This can put a lot of pressure on your lower back, which is what happened to me. So when I was doing really heavy squats and I was doing the duck butt, all of those 100-pound plus squats were resting on my lower back, causing me a ton of pain. Anterior pelvic tilt usually results in hyperactive quads, as I mentioned, and your hamstrings being overly tight. So through a regimen suggested to me by a physical therapist, I was able to learn how to properly target my hamstrings and my glutes, which were also underactive. And now just from doing that, my butt grew like 10 sizes and my hamstrings are a lot stronger, and I no longer have back pain. I went from doing 0 pounds last summer for my squat, and now I'm back up to 100. I think I have about 25 more pounds to go back to where I was before, but I'm feeling very good and confident, and I no longer have back pain. That was also a huge issue for going to music festivals. It was miserable walking around for me because I was having so much back pain, and through properly targeting, properly strengthening the parts that needed to be strengthened, and then stretching the parts that needed to be stretched, I am pain-free and I could not be happier. So the second postural imbalance I wanted to talk about is the posterior pelvic tilt. So as you guessed it, that means that your pelvis is tilted the other way. This is usually that slouching position that people know when you're like on your computer, and usually we don't have very good posture when we're sitting and watching TV. So both of these can be a result from sitting a lot. And for the posterior pelvic tilt, your hamstrings are going to be really tight as well, and your abs are actually going to be more active because you're kind of in this crunched position. And so there are different things that you can do to strengthen as well as stretch the things you need to in order to improve your posture. I'd also like to specify that postural imbalances are not like a physical disorder. They're things that you really are faults from wear and tear that we do to our bodies, and they're things that can be fixed over time. So if you think that you might have one of these, you can always feel free to DM me and I can give you more information there. Now I want to talk about the different types of stretching. So there are 3 main types. If you have any others, please inform me. I would love to know in the comments. So the one that we all kind of know is static stretching, which is where you pause and hold. And so as I mentioned before, you're going to want to do this for a full minute when you do static stretching. It's really the most beneficial after your muscles are warmed up. The next stretch, and I actually think and have seen from research that this one has the most amount of improvement the most quickly, is not necessarily, it's a dynamic tension stretching. So dynamic tension stretching, how to do it is to hold intense your muscle for 10 to 30 seconds, I think it is, or 10 to 20, and then you're going to slowly release and dip deeper into the stretch. So that's all I have for you today on stretching. In my next video, I will get into what my stretching regimen is specifically for my legs, I will tell you about the stretches that you need to do in order to get into the middle splits, which has been my most recommended video, but I wanted to make sure to give a really good, solid overview of stretching in this video before we did that one. So if you would like to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe. I know that's annoying, but like and subscribe if you don't mind. And if you have any videos that you would like me to do in the future, please leave it in the comments and I will try to get to it. Looking forward to working with you guys. Additionally, if you need any at-home workouts, please feel free to DM me or email me at motherofjellies@gmail.com. I will leave that email in the description below. Have a good evening, guys.